everybody. Happy Saturday night. I am in my full-on, I did not prepare to do a show. I had a 6-year-old glow party at Sky Zone last night, and I have not gotten out of my pajamas today mode. But this just popped up on my YouTube, on our YouTube updates from Governor Youngkin. Evidently, 4 days ago or whenever, he did an interview with Tucker Carlson. And first of all, now as a journalist, if anybody believes that they're actually getting the full truth from Fox or Tucker, you need to tune into reality, because people like Matt Strickland were canceled from Tucker because it involved Glenn Youngkin. So the belief that you're going to get anything truth-wise from mainstream media, let's just get over that hump real quick. But this interview, I watched the first minute and then I skipped. I haven't even watched the entire thing. So he's going to talk about Loudoun. He's going to talk about Fairfax and the TJ Meritocracy. And I'm going to try to keep this like 10 minutes because I've done so many shows about, here we are, 9 days out from day one last year. Nothing has changed. Zero. So seeing him on Tucker and seeing people from other states saying, God, we wish Glenn Youngkin was our governor. You're so awesome. I'm here in the state of Virginia as a constitutional conservative parent who was a parent for Youngkin, one of the founding women for Youngkin, worked my butt off to get that man elected, who's on here constantly telling people, no, you don't. We haven't gotten anything we've been promised. So just real quick, let's pull this up. So just so you see, this was posted on Glenn. Glenn shared this, so he's really proud of this.
The story broke sometime back, you doubtless remember it, that the Loudoun County School Board of Virginia had been covering up the sexual assault of children in schools. Parents naturally began protesting, and then one father was arrested for complaining about the sexual assault of his own child at a school board meeting. But thankfully, parents didn't back down, and the former school superintendent in Loudoun County was eventually indicted appropriately for his role in the cover-up of sexual...
Eventually, what, almost a year and a half later, Scott Ziegler sat on that school board? It didn't take a grand jury, I will remind. Eventually, they found him the guilty stuff that they needed for that school board to fire him, because the school board hires and fires a superintendent. Eventually, they knew that he covered it up a year and a half ago.
Abuse. And an investigation ordered by Virginia's new governor, Glenn Youngkin, found that the school board administrators misled parents about sexual assaults in Loudoun County last year.
Keep in mind, Scott Ziegler's the only one that's been fired. All the other administrators still there, including the new superintendent who was a part of it.
Now, Glenn Youngkin is calling for another investigation into whether students at Virginia's top high school, TJ, the Thomas Jefferson School for Science and Technology, face discrimination in the name of something called racial equity. Governor Glenn Youngkin joins us now to explain. Governor, thank you so much for coming on. So, to the first story, it turns out this cover-up was real. Is that what you've discovered?
Yeah, absolutely, Tucker. And first of all, Happy New Year. Virginia still continues to be absolutely at ground zero when it comes to standing up for parents' rights with their children.
Wait. I'm sorry. You've been in office how long? Almost 1 year. Day one, I'm going to ban critical race theory. Nothing. Our children are still being taught that white is evil. Being born white is you are privileged. So this here, we are still at ground zero. No, you're at ground zero for let's hit the accelerator on bringing the global economy to Virginia. Your definition of education excellence is to recover the Virginia economy and to create a labor pool. So no, you are not at ground zero for parents' rights for anything, because any decent governor would have come in on day one and that just transgender. A year later, you're talking about Loudoun County, and you have never once said 14th Amendment, due process, parents. You have done nothing.
For recognizing that kids need their parents in their lives and for standing up for excellence. And that's exactly what we found in Loudoun County. You know, I ordered this investigation on day one of our administration, and our Attorney General Jason Miyares went to work. And oh, by the way, the Democrats immediately condemned it, saying it was all political. Well, the reality was the Loudoun County School Board had, in fact, worked to cover this up. These poor young women should have never been assaulted, and the superintendent has...
Should have never been assaulted? Every single person that covered up the first rape is guilty of the second rape. If you know anything about Law 101, facilitation, covering it up, it led, if they had done their jobs, the second rape would not have happened. We have a real estate attorney as the Attorney General who's not enforcing the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act, has never made a peep about it. And now we have a governor saying that Jason Miyares went to work. Doing what? Doing what? Because not only were two girls raped, let's call it like it is, the second rape, every person who covered it up should be in prison for facilitation, because if they had done their jobs and not covered it up, that second rape would not have happened.
Has been fired appropriately and indicted. This is the work that comes when we shine a bright light on these heinous cover-ups that we know are going on. And now we see in Fairfax County violations of civil liberties, where we have students who had achieved a real accolade to be a National Merit Scholar, and they weren't told. They weren't told because they didn't want to make the other students feel bad. And when you have a superintendent in Loudoun County who expresses a desire that all students will have equal outcomes, no exceptions.
Okay, it's not just Loudoun County, Glenn. Equity is equal outcomes across the state of Virginia. So you're banning CRT, and the fact that you sent a guidance on equity and divisive concepts. Okay, guys, here's a little bit of advice. Education policy, a guidance from Amy Gadara and Glenn Youngkin on divisive ideologies. That is not, I'm going to ban CRT on day one, as we were promised. If you can do that, which you can't, because he got us with the verbiage. Number two, so he's going to sit here and you're going to actually mention just one county is talking about equal outcomes and equity when you've done nothing. You promised to get rid of equity except issue a guidance, which is nothing but a would you please in education policy. It's not an executive order. It's not saying stop this now. So I can't even let him finish this sentence without telling you every single division is driving equity. They're pushing children of color through to make it look like it's equal outcomes. Nobody's getting an education. So like my meme on Facebook, Oprah, you get a diploma, you get a diploma, you get a diploma. Nobody gets an education. Let's be real, Glenn.
This is the kind of just crazy behavior that you get from principals and administrators. It's not right. It's not consistent with Virginia values and American values. And we're going to go to work to make sure we fully understand all the facts here.
We're going to go to work. No, you're going to go to work on the whole state of this. You're going to go to work, if it's my dying breath, until your last day in office. And I'll be damned if you're going to become president.
It's also a violation of federal civil rights law, isn't it, to discriminate on the basis of race? I didn't think that was legal in this country.
Well, that absolutely, and that's also what I've asked the Attorney General to look into in a violation of Virginia's civil rights law.
Okay, sorry. He asked, like, Jason Miyares, his opinion. Jason Miyares issues an opinion. A lawyer doesn't issue opinion on law. So what I've asked Jason Miyares to look into whether racism, blatant racism on the color of your skin, is a violation of civil rights. I'm sorry.
And this is the reality, that after 8 years of liberal progressive Democrat leadership and 8 years of school boards not being held accountable, we're holding them accountable. And it's as if they...
No, you're not. No, you're not. I live in Chesterfield County, 63,000 children. And you're going to mention rapes in bathrooms because of a transgender policy? And you're not going to mention Thomasdale High School and the girl that was raped in a bathroom because you tell teachers and you still a year later have done nothing to change it, and you're pandering to the ACLU and Equality Virginia because you don't want to get sued?
Kind of thought I might go away, Tucker, but I'm not going away. I'm making sure that we're going to stand up for parents' rights. We're going to make sure that our children have their parents engaged in their lives fully. And when we see a problem, we're going to go to work and root it out immediately.
Yeah.
Take note. Again, he said that this wasn't during the election. This wasn't day one. This was 4 days ago. We're going to make sure parents are involved in their children's education. So keep that in mind, because this legislative session is just getting started. The amount of parental rights bills, transparency in education bills, legislation to acknowledge 6 pages of existing legislation school boards are ignoring across the state. Not one single school board is using any of the law that this state has. So let's see if this governor, if he actually backs it when it passes, because they took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of Virginia and the United States. So if they don't vote for a law to acknowledge Virginia and federal law, 100%, that's it. Nothing new in there for parents' rights for transparency in education. You go on the list. Glenn will go on the list for due process, 14th Amendment, for removing parental rights. Because if he doesn't enforce his transparent, and if he doesn't get that transgender policy on the books, it doesn't even have to go on the books. You can adopt it today. Because the problem is, and you can go back and you can watch the J-Car. I did a couple, and watch the whole thing. Is that the thing is that so the Dems wrote a bill, passed it to the VDOE because they didn't think they'd ever lose their seat in office. Guess what? You did, and like a school board model policy. Guess what? Like a school board policy can be revisited at any time. So they're pulling a back door, is what I heard in it being at the J-Car hearing with the ACLU. It's not a backdoor anything. You wrote a law that passed it to the VDOE. Sorry about your luck, but we used democracy and we voted you out. And therefore, our new governor you wrote the law bad. Not our fault. You wrote it that way. So yeah, Glenn, we're going to hold this little video here. I'm going to.
Well, thank you. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was apparently the best high school in the country, and you hate to see it.
Tucker, this is one of the finest schools in the nation. It's constantly ranked #1 for science and technology. It's a meritocracy. We had to pass a law last year to redirect the admissions of the Thomas Jefferson School to be based on a meritocracy as opposed to an aspiration for equal outcomes in admissions. But this is the challenge that we have, and this is why Virginia is at the forefront of making sure that parents' rights will be protected, and this idea of hard work and achievement will be valued in all our schools, but particularly in our governor schools like Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, if you can have a meritocracy in the NBA, you can have one in our schools, it would seem. And I appreciate your work on behalf of that. Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia, thank you very much.
So, just real quick, because this was going to be quick, I just wanted you to see that. That is, again, on Glenn's channel. Meritocracy, as they like to call it, is this evil thing that is based on whiteness. You work hard, you get good grades, you achieve more. That's meritocracy. It's merit. It's basic common sense. You work harder, you get good grades, you get different things in life. But that's not fair. Because life is fair. So let's make it fair. And guys, this is not going to go away. To say that they're going to go after one school for this, when every single school is doing this to children, every single school is treating white children different than children of color for the appearance, because you can't ever have equal outcomes unless there's lies, conspiracy. Honey, say hi.
Mommy, you didn't bring me popcorn.
I'm gonna be right down, okay? All right, go. Come on, I'll be right back. I'll be right there. Thank you. So they're still telling that the reason I pulled my kids is that they wanted to teach my little 5-year-old that she is evil, that she is privileged from her birth, the time that she is birthed, that she is privileged and she is above else. And then she is in private school, and there are half of her class in private Christian school are children of a different color skin, melanin content. And their parents pulled them from Chesterfield County because they didn't want their children being taught that they were automatically doomed in life. That's the truth of what at Guardian Christian is the amount of parents of different skin color. It's a 50-50 ratio of parents that don't want their kids being taught any of this. So the reality is, Glenn, and your show is that you've done nothing. You can talk, you can laser focus on Loudoun, you can laser focus on Fairfax because they're the one to keep the eyes off of the whole state. This is going on across the state. They covered up national merit scholars because that's a big thing. How many children are being punished on their grades across the state by people in the VEA, the Virginia Education Association? How many children are being targeted and treated differently because of their color of their skin, and their grades are affected to create equal outcomes is the question. And that is the entire state. So when we talk about racism doesn't have a color. You don't get to claim, oh, racism only applies to one. No. We have an immense white racist problem, okay? TJ, they have an immense problem with Asian Americans. So that would be the problem with Asian American is that you've got the Indian population, you've got Korean, Japanese, Chinese, you've got extremely intelligent people, and so they want to argue. So now you want to talk about the people that have the audacity to talk about stop Asian hate. That's who they're talking about here. They're targeting not just white people. It's anybody who excels. It's not fair. It's not fair. And so we have to think about the majority of the children at TJ are, because of the children in Fairfax, are extremely intelligent Indian, Asian, that's a big group of cultures is grouped into that. And it is because they have hard work ethic and their parents, and they drive home constantly. They're not born genetically, superior. They don't have this they are taught from their parents have a strict work ethic, and they teach their children to work like hell. And so those children, and to challenge meritocracy, because those kids have worked like hell because their parents made them work their butts off to earn their place there, that is called the American dream. The American dream is the freedom and the opportunity to do everything and anything you want. It is not freely given to you as a handout. Okay? So we have a problem across the state, Glenn, with you in Loudoun and your obsession with Fairfax. And then we have to acknowledge that you come in and you fluff things up with Tucker, and you make it look like you're this amazing governor who's done these amazing things. And I'm here to tell the nation, we are not okay. Virginia is not okay. Nothing has changed. We are 9 days out from what? Day one a year ago. It's almost day one a year ago. And zero has changed. Zero. There's been no banning of racism. There's been no banning of equity. There's been no banning of CRT. There's been no transgender change. Chesterfield County it's not just Loudoun. It's not just Fairfax. We still have co-ed bathrooms. We still have immense amounts of porn in our libraries. And he told a parent, I was present at a Yesley Vega thing, that what are you doing about the books? He told a parent, I'm going to try to help parents advocate how to remove that, challenge those books. No, it's obscenity. It's porn. It is against the law, Glenn. You come in, you are the governed, you govern the state. Okay? Because people tend to forget the whole Terry McAuliffe. Oops. Go back and watch the last debate between McAuliffe and Youngkin. What is that oops? Where did it come from? They were talking about the porn in the book, in the libraries. Glenn Youngkin, that's what you were talking about when you want to talk about Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe said that parents don't belong in schools. What was Glenn talking about? He was talking about the porn in the libraries. Virginia is not okay. We still have more porn pouring into our libraries. So the context, when he goes on Tucker Carlson and has the audacity to make the nation think that things are any different here, I'm here in the trenches up to my eyeballs in Uniparty swamp, and I'm, as a former parent for Youngkin, founding member of Women for Youngkin, I took my red pill early on and saw reality for what it was. And any parent in this state who can't at the 1 year anniversary with nothing has changed, nothing of what we were promised and why he got elected, you're delusional. You are delusional if you are actually going to sit there and wait and say, he needs more time. He has 3 years left. He hasn't done anything because all he wants to do is run to be president. And so if the nation, if you think that you're going to get a winner with this man, I'm here to tell you first. I will tell you first. Is that if you want to seal your deal with mini Klaus Schwab here in Virginia, go ahead and tell the GOP that you want Glenn Youngkin to be your president or your vice president. You will seal the deal with the World Economic Forum. Boom. We will be done. The nation will be done. And you will hear it first. So you call Ron DeSantis, if you're in Florida, and you tell him, because that is what's going to happen. Ron DeSantis, we will not support you if you choose Glenn Youngkin as your running mate. That's what you do right now, because that's what's going to happen. Is that DeSantis and Youngkin, and I'm here to tell you that if you think Youngkin is a DeSantis, whatever DeSantis is or is not, the appearance that he has done amazing things in Florida is, I'll tell you right now, is that would be a deal with the devil right there. And is that's where we are at, is that please spread the message far and wide. Virginia is not okay. Tucker, if you're watching this, it's the same reason War Room had me on for about a minute, and I spoke too much truth, and I can't come back. I can't come back on War Room. It's because there's almost nobody that is willing to hear truth about what's happening to our children in Virginia, because the GOP had big red wave. No, the Red Scare. We are living in the Red Scare. And so let's be real, Tucker, and let's talk truth if you're going to be the Tucker Carlson that everybody thinks you are. And let's speak truth and say that everything that Glenn Youngkin said, here, I'll just share this real quick. This is me in Burke, Virginia on October 19th last year, live, because you can't find this video on his feed because he's crossed out. Just me in Burke, Virginia. I was so stoked back then. I was like, oh, we have hope for the future. October 19th last year. Listen.
Let's go, Glenn!
Woo! Yeah!
Let's go! Yeah, thank you all.
Burke is, by the way, Fairfax.
Thank you all for being here. Let me start. We need to thank the Burke Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department.
I got kids downstairs. I'm going to skip ahead a minute.
We have to thank them for
You can go to
keeping us safe.
Deplorable, my other Facebook,
All the work they do,
Deplorable,
gentlemen,
and
women,
you can
thank you
watch
so
all the
much. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. We've seen chaos seep into our schools, escalating into violence in our schools that lack security. A new instance each week until the unthinkable happened. Virginia and America awoke to the news that a young teenage girl had been sexually assaulted in her Loudoun County school.
This was October 19th, 2021. It is now January 7th, 2023. We are 15 months and almost 1 year post-inauguration.
And worse, the school administrators covered it up.
Yes, they
Loudoun's
did.
Commonwealth attorney targeted the victim's family. Let me say that again.
Yes.
So if you go back, if you're just joining us to the beginning of this, what was supposed to be a short episode, he's saying the same exact thing. It took them, he's saying this October 19, 2021. Scott Ziegler was in office and was still in Loudoun County up until a month ago. 12 months or more since he said this. That man was allowed to run the school district that he covered up. They, because he's not the only one that should be, and everybody who covered up that first rape should be guilty of rape for the second rape.
I agree. I'm going to say that again. A young girl was sexually assaulted in her school, and the administrators, those who were entrusted with not only her education, but her safety, tried to cover it up.
So, because for the sake of time, I'm going to go. But you can go, if you go to on our channel, go to, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 videos down. There's one that's blatantly like red wave, what did Virginia really get, where I went through and picked apart all the videos that I was at and all the promises that we were made. But this here with Tucker, it's absolutely outraging considering the fact that every single day the only thing that you see come out of Glenn Youngkin's mouth is about a different company that he has brought into the state of Virginia and who is going to become a part of that is what our children are being educated to do. Because you have strategic planning. If you haven't looked up your strategic planning company, and we are all working towards a unified strategic plan. So uniform education, uniform morals, values, and beliefs with social emotional learning, data collection. You can't direct children into the 4th industrial revolution, whether they're going to be a widget maker or a t-shirt presser or a robotic button pusher if you don't have the data to figure out if they are what their skills and competencies are. So guys, World Economic Forum, man over here, 2019 and 2020, you can't not connect the dots because they want us to learn new math instead of arithmetic. But the thing is that us older parents, we know arithmetic. 1 + 1 = 2. You can't round it up and then round it up and then subtract, and then become fuzzy math. If you can't see arithmetic here, the dots that connect, and you're using new math to make this look like it's still okay, you need to wake up because we're a year in and nothing's changed. We may as well still be under Northam. God's honest truth is that nothing, absolutely nothing has changed in public education in the state of Virginia, period. So y'all have a good night.